tasks. And in data mining tasks, we are talking about a concept called as clustering. As a pictorial representation suggests, what is the meaning of clustering? Now, you would have heard of the terms called COVID clusters, right? Or COVID clusters in Bangalore. What's the meaning of that? When you have substantial number of data points, when you have substantial number of data in a particular area, substituted in a particular area, situated in a particular area, that you call it as cluster. You can group those things as a particular cluster. The process of making a group of abstract objects into classes of similar objects is known as clustering. Okay. Now we are talking about your class results also in the previous sessions. And what is the thing I told you? That we can easily make a cluster of those students who scored between 60 to 65. Majority of your marks comes to in that between range. I'm talking about out of 100. Okay. Out of 100, which basically means includes your internal plus external marks. When I go for that, especially with regard to ME, the clusters can be formed between the range of 60 to 65. Majority of you people will be following this. There will be a few people who will not fit into that. There are few people who got close to around 89, 90 and some person I think got even 91 out of 100 I'm talking about. And there are a few people who scored less than 40. So these are called clusters. And who are these people? Okay, who are neither falling into the cluster? They're called outliers. Okay. In very simple terms, these are people who don't really fit into that aspect of coming into that cluster. Okay. Now you see this, what is the diagram suggest? The diagram clearly suggests that clustering is, see this one, this diagram talks about inter-cluster distances are minimum. Here, inter-cluster distance are maximum. Yellow objects in one place, green objects in one place, and in one. Or what I'm saying it is, I'm putting it all these people in one place, and then I'm giving it a yellow color. I'm putting all these, data points or data in one place, and then giving it green color. And then same thing with regard to red color. Now you're going to learn about clustering in detail in the next. Not just now, even in 7th sem, you're going to learn about clustering in detail. What is the thing that we basically look for here? First thing is, what is the distance between the data points here? See, I'm using the term called data points many times, even though this terminology is not there in your data mining, because this data points is something which I get it from machine learning. Okay, the terminologies, because I want you to get used. See this is with regard to intercluster. So what's the meaning of intra? The distance between two data points can be found out using in this particular cluster. What is the distance between two data points? Or the simplest way of finding out, what is the distance between two particular clusters? Okay, two particular clusters. That is with regard to intercluster. So what is this? This is all about how you can represent clusters under. But what is the thing we study in data mining? Okay, the process of cluster analysis. The first step is to do what? Partition the set of data into groups with the help of a data similarity, and then group them based on the respective labels. Okay, next, the biggest advantage when it comes to clustering is what? It can adapt to the changes made and helps us single out useful features that differentiate the different groups. Probably you will not understand the second terminology, the second line of what we are talking about. But we go even more simpler part of it. I think the cluster analysis becomes very important. When you want to group certain things called image processing, data analysis, and pattern recognition. Again, the simplest of example, especially in the recent times, what I gave is with regard to your COVID clusters. Now, if you take our entire world, which is a very big place, okay, close to around 212 nations are recognized by the United Nations. In that, where do you think are the COVID clusters? Number 1, US, number 2, Brazil, number 3, India. Okay, probably number 4, you have something countries from Europe, countries like France, where these are clusters. Majority of the COVID patients basically stay here, right? You're grouping based on what? COVID, and also you're grouping this based on nations, based on countries. Now you see, and go back to the last line that says it can clearly adapt to the changes made and helps us single out useful features that differentiate different groups. Okay. Now again, what is the examples of the application story? Used in image processing, how you can sort of segregate different images. Data analysis, the simplest of part what you look for. Okay, we talked about your class results only, and I formed you based on clusters itself. I showed it based on clusters itself that I can analyze your class data based off your results in ME. Okay, just by making out with your marks. Majority of you fall under the brackets of 60 to 65 range. Your class average itself is 66. Okay, in management and entrepreneurship. So I can make that. And of course, pattern recognition. Okay, very big topic, very huge. The subject itself called pattern recognition, where you can make out the patterns. Right, you can easily make out the patterns based on the clusters. And what is the next thing? Okay, it helps the marketers to find the distinct groups in their customer base and can characterize their customer group by using the purchasing patterns. This is again a marketing example. Okay, people who stay in Rajasthan are very prone to take more of ice creams. People who stay in Himachal Pradesh or Jammu Kashmir are more prone to buying sweaters. Okay, depending on their particular area, the choice will differ. And you can easily make out the clusters. Who are the people? The clusters of customers who buy sweaters. Where do you think the clusters would be? Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, to some extent, Punjab, to some extent the northeastern states. People who are more prone to buying ice creams. Okay, the states which have higher temperatures, Rajasthans, the Gujarats. Okay, then what's the next thing? It can be used in the field of biology by deriving animal and plant taxonomies, identifying genes with same capabilities. What is this basically? This plant taxonomy, forget plant taxonomy. Plant taxonomy comes in a thing. Your two things, right? In biology, or two parts. One is botany, other one is zoology. All this animal tax. I'll talk about animal tax because that's more understood. How can you group animal taxonomies? You would have heard of things called taxonomies. Okay, taxonomy is nothing but classification. In that, how do you sort of group things? If you take the cat family in India, okay, cat family in India, there are close to around 8 types of cats that are found in India. I'm not talking about the domestic cats. I'm talking about the cat family, the bigger family. Okay, so what are the things that you can find? You can find the Asiatic lions, Royal Bengal tigers, okay, the leopards, and the snow leopards. You have something called as a clouded leopard. You could always check in the Google. Okay, maybe some people would have seen few of this, but there are many of these things. Okay, there's a common cat, there's a jungle cat. Okay, like that. There are close to around 8 species that comes under the thing called cat family. And how do you group them? You cluster them. You put them into some sort of a cluster based on their genes, based on their appearances, based on their body structures. You group them, right? So it can even be used in the field of biology by deriving animal and plant taxonomies. Okay, what's the next thing? It helps in information discovery by classifying documents on the web. How do you classify documents on the web? One important, one not important. Okay, things that are important may be related to video. Things that are not important, things that are not related to video. Okay, you can always group data based on the whatever you want. Okay, like that. What's the next thing? Okay, I'm going to take few examples just to all these things are extra. Okay, see, data mining task, you need to write that, you need to write clustering, what is clustering, and then keep on writing everything that's possible. Okay, that's one way of doing it. If you do that, you are only going to, that's for your exam. I'm going to take examples that can sort of help you, so to understand what is basically. Okay, so what is this market segmentation? The clustering example with regard to market segmentation. What is a thing I want to do? Okay, my goal, my approach. Okay, goal and approach. Goal is to subdivide a market into distinct subsets of customers. Where a subset may be doing what? May be selected as a market target to be reached within a distinct marketing mix. What is my approach? I'm going to collect different attributes of customers. based on the geographical and lifestyle related information. The example I was talking about, people who buy sweaters, people who buy ice creams. Then we are going to find clusters of similar customers. Then based on that, we are going to measure the clustering quality by observing the buying patterns. Okay, of in the same clusters, but those in different clusters. Okay, you can easily make out that the simplest of example is what I told. Okay, people who want to buy sweaters and also ice creams. Okay, then one more thing called association analysis. The second thing, the second data mining task under descriptive analysis. We are talking about descriptive analysis. First one was clustering. Second one is with regard to association analysis. So there is some sort of an association that is going on here, and then you are going to analyze that. Okay, so what is this? It is used to discover patterns that describe strongly the associated features. So what is that basically? The simplest of example for this is there's a thing, I think even when you're studying DBMS, you would have studied this. Okay, thing called milk bread basket theory. Right? What is that basically? People who are buying milk, there's always a good chance that they are going to even buy the bread. Okay, so when you have a basket of milk, people can always assume that there's a high probability that the basket will even have bread in it. Okay, that's called big, milk bread basket theory. Okay? I don't know, maybe in DBMS you would have studied, or else you would have heard of this. Maybe people who are, especially people who have studied NCRTs, they have sort of learned this, and a thing called, how data is arranged. Okay, so what is association analysis? Discover patterns that describe the strongly associated features. What is the goal here? To extract the most interesting patterns in an efficient manner. Okay, what is useful applications? Finding groups of genes that have related functionality. Okay, that's a very biological terms, right? Then what's the next thing? Identifying web pages that are accessed together. What are the web pages that can be easily accessed together? You're accessing Amazon, you're easily accessing Flipkart, right? Because you want to check a rate, you want to check the price between the two. If you're accessing Facebook, where there's a very good probability that you're accessing even Insta. Okay, if you're accessing Gmail, there's a very good probability that you're accessing the related page, the maybe a topic related to it. Or of course, you guys are in 6th sem now. Okay, so there's always a good probability that you're searching for an internship or a job, something related to that. Okay, so if you're accessing what do you call the Indeed page, there's always a good probability that you're even accessing an internshala page for internships related ones. Okay, so these are association analysis. What is an example? The market-based analysis. Okay, people who are buying bread, there's always a good probability that you are buying even jam or milk. Okay, based on your preferences of eating things, which suggests that the customers who buy bread, they also tend to buy jam with it. Okay, the example here. This is an example that people can easily make out. So here we have, towards the left side, you have set of records. What is the meaning of records here? These are transactions. The first person has brought bread, Coke, milk. Second person, Pepsi, bread. Third person, Pepsi, Coke, chips, milk. Okay. We want to sort of look into this data and find what is known as association, or figure out what is association. So what can be done? How it can be done? It can be done using these two rules. How did I make out these rules? Well, very simple. You look into the first item, okay? It talks about bread, Coke, milk. Okay, so bread and milk, I'll keep in consider. Or I go to the next part and I'll see there's a thing called bread. I'll go into the third part and I'll see that there's something called milk. Okay, then I go to the fourth part. By the time I go to the fourth part, the fourth transaction, it becomes very clear to me that bread and milk are, getting repeated. See the first one, bread and milk are sort of getting repeated. Okay, next, the fifth one, Coke, chips, milk. So where do you think I have milk? I think I have milk in 4 places. 1, 3, 4, 5. In this milk, in these 4 places, what are the things that are most common to me? I think Coke is common to me in 1, then 3, then of course 5. Okay. So what is the most association that can have? Milk is associated to majority of, not everywhere. Please keep that in mind. Not everywhere, but in majority of the times, milk is associated with Coke. Okay. Then the next one, these chips and milk are to some extent associated with Pepsi. Okay. The same old way, like this, you can sort of discover the rules. You can sort of discover the association. Okay, these sort of things become very important. Okay, especially when you go into the business end of association analysis. The classic example I always take is you go into any retail mart. Okay, there's always association things that are getting associated, put into place there. I want you people to go. Of course, now it's not a right time, especially for people in Bangalore. Okay, maybe people who are staying outside Bangalore. Okay, when the situation is good there, could always walk into a retail store and sort of analyze. Okay, please analyze what are the things that are there. Okay, majority of few things that you can easily analyze it. As you enter, you have something called a basket that is available. Okay, what is that? That's a psychological way of playing with the people. That you have a basket, please take that. Okay, or that the rolling basket, what you call. Okay, you could always take it and move across. So what is that? Okay, it wants people to the people who are using that shop, or the people who are building that shop, they want you to use that rolling basket with you, or just a basket with you, to buy as many products as possible. That's the first thing you recognize. The second thing you recognize is nowhere in a retail shop, okay, nowhere in the retail shop, you will find across anything called a watch, right? A wall clock, a watch, anywhere, nowhere. Wall clock will never be there. Why? Very simple reason. They want you to spend as many time as possible inside them. The amount of time you spend inside a retail shop is equal to or directly proportional to the amount of items you're going to buy. So there'll never be a place where it will be showing you the time. How you can make out? You can make out from a very simple aspect that none of those retail shops will have windows, right? None of it will now will be having windows. Everything will be closed enclosure. So if you go inside, it will never you'll never get to know whether it is whether it is there is a sun outside or not. Some people we go right in the afternoon, they come back by the time it is will be fully dark. Okay, these are three important things anyone can observe. Then you move into the item part of it, then the things part of it. There you can easily understand with the pattern set all the biscuits, different brands of biscuits are put together. Just after biscuits, okay, you have something called all the the other aspects of it. Okay, the other chips, things related, people eat together, things are put together. Okay, after that you have breads, you have just beside breads you have something called jams or the milk. Okay, like that they want you to buy. See, even if you don't want, okay, your mind will always think that, okay, I brought this, let me buy this also. Okay, this this entire theory of how the retail shops work. Okay, people who are interested, they could always go to a Google and could search. Okay, there's this combination of both business antics plus psychology of people, based on which the entire retail shops are designed. Okay, even when the time when you go for billing the data, right, you have something called these small items that are placed just beside the bill counter. It's chocolates, a small the sugar based things that are sort of kept there. Okay, because majority of them people who are coming through will have children, would like to buy them at a very last stage, so they would be keeping those things right just before the billing counters. Okay, even at the time they want to bill you people, they want to take as much money as you from you people. Okay, that is something. It's all under thing called association analysis. Of course, under data mining, what is the thing that we need to think of? Okay, it's like we need to take out relevant information from the data, useful information from the data. Okay, so all these things comes under the thing called association analysis. Okay, then you move into the last part of it called anomaly detection. What is anomaly? What's the literal meaning of anomaly? Literal meaning of anomaly means something which is not regular. I'll tell. Your class average is 66. Okay. So I'll always say 60 to 70. Okay, they are normal guys. So some people who got 89, 90. Okay. People who got 89, 90 and all, they're not regular. People who got less than 40 also, they are also not regular. Okay. They're not regular. They are anomalies. Of course. People who got more than 90, they're good anomalies. People who got less than 40, they're bad anomalies. Like that you can think. Okay, so what is anomaly detection? Something that is not regular and you want to figure out why. Okay, so what is it? The task of identifying observations whose characteristics are significantly different from the rest of the data. Okay, what do you call them? They call as anomalies or outliers. These outliers you are going to study again in the modules that are going to come, in the subjects that are going to come, about a lot, outliers and all. Okay, how do you figure out outliers? What is the best efficient way of figuring out an outliers and all? Okay, in machine learning you are going to learn about the mathematical way of doing it also. Okay, so what is the goal here? The goal is to make sure that you discover the real anomalies and at the same time you avoid falsely labeling normal objects as anomalies. Okay, you can't label a person who scored around 65, 70 marks as an anomaly in management and entrepreneurship subject. They're not anomaly, they're regular people. Okay. So what is where do you think the applications want to? The first important one with regard to is detection of fraud. Network intrusions. Okay. Network intrusion, a class, a person from, some other college, tries to comes into our own class. That's an anomaly. Okay, that's very much an anomaly. Then what is the next thing? Unusual patterns. Okay, what is unusual patterns of diseases? Where sometimes, okay, once again, and again, this is a problem. Okay, hopefully we'll be back a little bit sooner. So what's the next thing in this? Okay, what is unusual patterns of diseases? The patterns of diseases which are very much unusual. Okay, which will not be coming through regular ways. Okay, you can use this anomaly detection even during those times also. Okay, so these are things that you got to keep in mind. Okay, the way that you can sort of work through. Again, hopefully you're back. See, this is a problem. Okay, what I was talking right in the onset of the class that this is going to be have some sort of a disturbance with regard to internet. Again, it's all due to the fact that we have a very bad infrastructure in our country. Okay, right from the hospitals, right from the internet facilities, everywhere. The word called infrastructure is something which we don't like. Proper infrastructure. Okay, hopefully, yeah, things are going to change. Good. Okay, so let's go into this. Okay, what is an example for an anomaly detection? Anomaly detection, the classic example is with regard to credit card transactions. Okay, credit card transactions. There are various other things also. I'm taking the credit card transaction because it is something that people can always hold on. Okay, things people can hold on. So let's look into this. Okay, what is the things that we think of? The first and foremost thing is with regard to where do you think this credit card transaction basically go become a problem? When there's a person, a credit card company who is recording transactions, okay, every day made transactions. And what is the next thing that is happening? The thing is you're going to look for fraudulent applications, fraudulent cases. Okay, where do you think that is happening? Where do you think that is happening? Okay, that can happen with regard to the anomaly detection techniques that can be applied on the profile of a legitimate transactions. When the transaction arises, the new transaction happens, it is compared against the profile of the customer. Okay, it is compared against the profile of customer. See, this is a very huge topic. It's a very complex topic. You just have to know the example for it. That's all. So what is the characteristic? If the characteristics of the transaction is very different from the previously created profile, you call it as potentially fraudulent. Maybe this, little bit tough when it comes to understanding, but if you can understand this next one, I'll give one more example. Okay, this example, the anomalies that are sort of do. You can see this point anomalies. What's the meaning of point anomalies? A single instance of data is anomalous if that is too far from the rest. The simplest or classic example is again the credit card transaction. Okay, some person trying to do a fraud. There are normal transaction and then there is a person who's trying to do a fraud. Okay, this comes under point anomalies. Then there is something called context. Based on the context, certain things can be termed as fraud or not. If a person, generally this happens especially in the West, majority of the people, okay, they spend a lot of money in the holiday season. When I say holiday season, something that happens after the Thanksgiving, which is right after the last week of November up to the new year. Majority of the people, they spend a lot. But if there is transaction that is the people are spending a lot, if there is a person who's spending a lot of money in the normal days, maybe in a month of Jan, March, after that, okay, after that in the normal days, then you can call that as it's an anomaly. Spending $100 on food every day during the holiday season is very much normal, but maybe odd other ways or in other days. Okay, what's the next thing? Collective anomalies. A set of data instances collectively helps in detecting the anomalies. What is an example? Someone is trying to copy a data from a remote machine to a local host unexpectedly. Okay, an anomaly will be flagged off as a potential cyber attack. So what is this collective anomalies? Okay, all these things you can sort of remember and then you can sort of go and write in an exam. Okay, if I go this with regard to data mining application, identification of rare items, events, or observation which raise suspicion by differing significantly from the majority of the data. If there is a data which is not at all looking similar to what the data you have, you can raise it as an anomaly. What's an anomaly? Every time, anomaly is something which is not regular, something which is a deviation from a regular. Okay, so you can call that as what? Outlier. You can call that as a novelties. You can call that as noise, deviations, exceptions. Everything comes under what is known as anomalies. Okay, this is something which you got to keep in mind. Where do you think the data mining everything and all? Okay, the one more. See, for each and everything now, for each and every aspect of it, I've given one classic example. Okay, I've given one example just to make sure that you people will get to know what it is under. Okay, so make sure that you sort of remembering that and also writing that example. Okay, so this sort of goes into the aspect of what we known as the what we known as with regard to data mining tasks. What were the data mining tasks? We started with the aspect of getting to know what are the various data mining tasks we have.